at that site.
Two of the artists selected by the Foothill Extension cities talked about the process of developing art for the future Gold Line stations.
I actually chose Irwindale because it was sort of the most unknown. It wasn't famous maybe like some of the other ones where I'd never heard of it before, and was quite thrilled actually by what Irwindale had to offer, which was there was a really good story. Basically, there were about 3 or 5 families at the turn of the century who were living in the LA basin. And every time they got settled someplace, like where the garment district is now in LA, they were kicked out because they were of Hispanic descent. They finally settled someplace where nobody else wanted to be, and that was on the edge of the San Gabriel River. And the reason why nobody else wanted it was because it was all rocks and it was all water. It was very difficult to get and very difficult to grow. All around, all the other cities are being built up. So in 1955, they had the idea, well, we better incorporate because all these other big, rich cities around us are incorporating. And they went down to the county offices, and they were 3 in line ahead of Glendora, who was going to annex their property. And so Irwindale, just under the wire, got to annex their property and create their own city. So they incorporated in 1955, and then the freeway started to be built in Southern California. And all of those freeways needed gravel from the Irwindale mines. And then water became a scarcity, so they began to become very rich. So Irwindale is really unique because the people who live there now are all descendants of the original people who founded the city. So it's this fantastic story. It's sort of a lemons to lemonade kind of a story, which gets us to this design here. And there's 2 things going on here. One is the technique, where I invented this new technique for this project of being able to put definitive designs into the lithocrete paving for the platform. And then the other is the imagery. And the imagery is basically one design in 2 different colors. The blue one being about the river, the alluvial fan of the river itself, and the green one being about family tree.
She really tapped into 2 important themes in Irwindale. One was history, and the other one is family. And she was able to incorporate both of those very important themes into the station design.
Other elements of the station that we're going to do is we're going to do something called the ticker tape trellis, and that's going to be the names off of a census of everybody who was living in the town in 1955. And those are going to be pierced into steel and put on up in the sky, so you'll be able to see the mountains through it and the sun will shine through it and create shadow. What's fantastic about doing art in the sky on a transit platform is that a transit platform is a very busy place. Safety officers need to be in there, people with suitcases, people with parents. What's great about doing these pierced steel things in the sky is that they cast a shadow onto the platform, but the surface of the place is completely clear, and you can interact with that shadow. And then those actual letters from that, as they're cut out of the metal, will be used, and we're going to have a corrido written, which will basically tell the story of the founding of Irwindale, and that'll be cast into the concrete on the other side of the platform.
For Monrovia, artist Cha-Ri Tang integrated local architectural history into her art concept for the station. In particular, Cha-Ri uses batch elder tiles found in many local homes and will combine copies of existing tiles with tiles she designs.
The whole name of my project is called the River of Time, and it has this rock that has been eroded by water with geologic time. And the tiles would be the river showing the history of human passage of time. And then the glass element, which sort of shows water flowing. I think the present environment where people have totally gotten into computers, that they really enjoy the handcraft. This tile was taken from the fireplace in the Batchelder house, and Dr. Robert Winter lives there. And when I went to visit him and told him about the Monrovia train station, he was very pleased and was generous enough to allow me to take impressions from his whole collection. I also do my own original tiles. Like this one is actually a Chinese design, which I did, but it's in the same tradition. This is a traditional Japanese design which I carved into a 3-dimensional form. The community that contributed the tiles, they're so proud of their homes and their tiles, and they're so happy that it will be incorporated into the station for everyone to see.
I guess the reaction from the community is that they're stoked, because this is their story and nobody ever really paid attention to it before. I mean, the problem with all of these towns on the foothills is unless you live here, you just drive past and you don't ever go in and find out what Monrovia is really about, or Duarte or Irwindale. So, you know, if the juries are doing their job, then each one really is telling a story you wouldn't know otherwise.
You know, you want the writer to feel comfortable and safe, and also that the environment that they're in is a pleasurable place to go to. And I think that's something that we've done very, very well on Phase 1. And I know that is, you know, a continued commitment in our work in Phase 2.
Thank you to the many artists that have added creativity and beauty to the Metro Gold Line, and to the community members that participated in the process to select station artists for the Foothill extension. Collectively, your work will help inspire future generations to ride the train and live more sustainable lives. Below is a list of the station artists for the Metro Gold Line and its Foothill extension. View other videos about the Gold Line Foothill extension and sign up for e-newsletter updates at www.foothillextension.org.